Hey guys, so on the last video we installed the EWG rail onto this Remington 700 Magpul Hunter, and in this video we're going to be installing the scope, the Vortex Crossfire 6-24X. If you haven't seen the video of introducing the scope, be sure to check that out. And if you haven't seen the video of me installing the scope rail, be sure to check that out as well. That way you're caught up and know what's going on exactly. So in this video, we're going to install the Vortex 30mm scope rings that are right here, that I also went over in the previous videos, introduced them there. We got two of them, we're gonna install those. We're also gonna install this 308 brake. And we got a 10 round mag we're gonna pop in afterwards just for the picture purpose. See how it looks with a larger mag. That's about it. And in following video, we're gonna take this out to the range and test it out. And that's probably the most exciting one to stay tuned for. So be sure to hit that subscribe and that like button. Hit that notification bell. Stay tuned for the next video because that's gonna be the most important one. However, next video is gonna suck. We're not gonna get any good results if we don't install the scope correctly in this video. If we don't level it, if we don't secure it properly, it can give us a really hard time in the next video trying to sight this in and trying to get some decent grouping out of it, especially over long distance. The longer distance shot you're trying to make, the more difficult and the more inaccurate it's gonna be if your setup isn't set up correctly, if it's not tight, if it's not, you know, everything needs to be even, properly torqued down and so forth in order to achieve that accuracy, that maximum accuracy you're going for. The first thing we're gonna do is get these rings opened. I'll do them off camera. They're pretty beefy, large. I like the fact that there's 6 screws in each one. So for now, I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it, and I'm just gonna basically drop it in about right there. And again, this is just a complete guess. I think I'm off actually. I think I'm gonna go back one. So we're gonna go take a step back. We're gonna set it right here. So this is a large scope. I don't know if this is gonna work out, but I need them attached to the scope rail just so I could throw the scope on there and see what we're working with here. So these guys come with a little Allen wrench, which is cool. And it also comes with assembly instructions. All right, well, let's see if we're even doing this right. Who knows, maybe I'm not doing this right. I'll read it with you guys. Remove the upper ring halves and loosen the 2 base clamp screws. Okay, we haven't done the top yet. Fit the lower ring halves onto the Picatinny or Weaver rail in a position to allow proper rifling scope placement for eye relief and even spacing on a rifle scope. 2. 3. Tighten the base clamp hex nuts to 35-45 pounds inch pounds while pressing the lower ring half down and forward toward the muzzle. Okay, so as you're tightening these, you want to press the whole thing forward and tighten it to 35-45 inch pounds. Okay, cool. Well, we don't have to follow these to the T, and I was wrong. This isn't an Allen wrench, this is a hex key. Which, having our handy dandy 51-piece Winchester rifle toolkit takes care of not having to use the supplied tools with your parts. However, it's a good feeling when you know the manufacturer at least cares enough to supply proper equipment to be able to get this set up. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna unscrew the tops of the rings. Here we go, we're just gonna loosen these up, pull them off, and be sure to have a little screw tray or something near you just so you can put these screws in a place where they're not gonna get lost. I like that, they go in really deep. Look how long these screws are. So that's nice. Some of the scope rings have such shallow screws that you're risking them taking a chance of them backing out. The screws are off. What I like to do is I like to set this aside in the same way it was on the base, just so I know that's the way it was. And I'm not sure if it makes any difference, but I'm a little OCD that way, so I like to do it that way. In case they were machined a certain way and they're a little bit thinner or thicker on one end or the other, and factory put them that way, I'd like to keep them that way. It's more of a thing that applies more to automotive industry, but having been in the automotive industry for many years, it's kind of an old habit. It's a good habit to get into anyway, just in case. For like bearings, bearing races and seals and such things. So now we have the tops of them off. Let's grab the scope, position it to where it just kind of looks okay, and we can fine tune it after it's on there. Here she is. There's a big scope, very big scope. That might actually be a pretty decent location for it. What I'm gonna do for now is I'm gonna drop these on there temporarily, the caps. I'm gonna put about 2 screws in each one, okay? And I'm gonna test fit it for my eye relief and see if that's a good location, a good spot for it. If it is, we'll end up leaving it here. If it's, or at least we'll leave the scope here. I might move the rings around just a little bit. So we just want to do this very lightly. You don't want to put too much pressure on it, just enough to keep the scope from moving. So right now it likes to move and stuff, so that's it. Just enough. You don't even have to do both. You could just do one. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to go around, measure it to my own self, and then I'll be right back. What I did now is I found the perfect place for the scope. It happened to just work out first try. It's the eye relief, everything just happens to work. The cheek rest on the one that they used, I believe, was a medium height, or was it a low height? I think this is a low height cheek rest. It works just fine. I don't need to swap out those. I could just use the one that's on here. Now, what I need to do is loosen both of these and move them up. Now, to do that, you don't want the scope to be interfering with it. Now that I know that this is where they need to be, right, the main thing is to get the scope leveled. What we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen these up again. We're gonna take these caps off, remove the scope, and attach the base securely. We're gonna torque these down and move these rings forward on the rail as far as possible, then torque them down. We don't want the scope interfering with that, so let's go ahead and do that now. Pretty much memorized where the scope is. What you could also do is you could put a piece of tape here, like a painter's tape, just to mark it, so then you don't lose your location. I'm not sure if I have painter's tape at the moment, but maybe we can get by marking it some other way. Let's see. So I'm just gonna remove these, be right back. We got the scope removed. I'm gonna loosen this up, and I'm gonna push this base forward. Putting forward tension on it, we're gonna hand tighten this, and then we're gonna use a wrench on it. Now, the reason why you want to push it forward and not back is because of recoil. When you take a shot, everything that's on your rifle is gonna want to go that way, forward. So if there's a gap, you're gonna shift. Eventually, you're probably gonna break. Well, you could shear off a screw, you could break a mount, whatever. So it's best to always have it on the forward position, and it just feels right. You don't want to over tighten this. Okay, now we're gonna do the same with the front one. Refocus on it, loosen it. Move it all the way forward, tighten it down. That's about it. Okay, so we got our bases tight. All right, and now we're just gonna throw the scope right back on it. Now our base is tight. Put it right back where it was. And the next step would be to level the gun, and then we're gonna start leveling the scope. We're gonna put these screws in without Loctite, because we're gonna take them out and apply Loctite to them afterwards, but initially we're gonna set the outer ones with Loctite. That way the scope can stay and not move. Tighten it down just enough. Yeah, you can still move the scope. Okay, we're gonna apply the secondary base. The next step, we're gonna wanna level the gun, so that's gonna be really important. We're getting this guy out, okay? So the way you do it is you put this on the flat part of your rifle. You get that little bubble centered. The best place to put this on is your base. And you put this on your barrel and you line those up, right? You get this nice and tight on your barrel. Then you can move this onto your scope. You set this, mirror this to that. You remove that. This stays set based on that. And then you put that on top of your scope to mirror this. All right, so let's get this out. I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So right over here, I'll move the camera. Right over here, we have a little bit of room, but there's not enough room. Damn it. Okay, so what does that mean? That means the scope's got to come off again. Well, we're gonna do a little bit of backtracking. It's okay. You know, that kind of stuff happens all the time. This is why you want to dedicate enough time. You don't want to do this at a gun range unless you've been, you know, you've done this a million times before and you're quick at it. I prefer to take my time and, you know, do this in a comfort of my own home. All right, now that we exposed that, we're gonna put the level back on the base. Bubble is way off, right about there. Now the next step, okay, when you set that, you want to make sure that that's also leveled. You want to get that right in the center. About it right there. Now that we got that leveled, I can remove this guy from the front of the rifle. It makes no difference. Now we can put the scope back on. What we want to do next is we want to take this piece, put it right here, and we'll know if the scope's leveled or not. And as we can see now, it's definitely not leveled. So what I'm gonna do is I'm paying attention to the front bubble. I'm gonna set the rifle as leveled as I can get it, and then we're gonna set the scope to match. You gotta keep going back and forth just to make sure. Now we got both bubbles leveled. What I'm gonna do now is tighten this down just a little bit more so we don't lose the location of it. And we're gonna put Loctite on the outer screws. We're gonna drive those in and hand tighten those, and then we're gonna drive these center screws back out and apply Loctite to them so we don't lose our spot. All right, so we have the level, nice and leveled. Got the front nice and leveled. We got these screws equally tight on both sides to keep the spacing apart. We got the torque wrench set to about 17 inch-pounds. All right, it recommends 15 to 18. We got the proper size torque bits. Blue Loctite. We're gonna apply it to each screw. I'm gonna do that really quick off camera. Just a little bit at the end. Snug it up, next bolt. And once I snug up the outer ones, you can pull the middle one back out. What we're doing here is we're just tightening the outer bolts a little bit. Now we're gonna back out the middle ones since they don't have any Loctite on them. The scope should theoretically not move because it has tension on the rest of them. So now we have 4 more to apply Loctite to in such manner. Drop those in. And this whole time, you just gotta keep an eye on your bubble, make sure its scope's still leveled, which it is. So now we have Loctite on all the screws. Now we're ready to use a torque wrench and go through and start torquing it down. We'll go in the cross pattern. We'll start with this corner, go here, go here, go here. Now we did that. We haven't torqued them down yet, but we're putting pressure on them, so we're just gonna do the same thing with this side. But we're still doing good according to the level. Okay, let's go back to this. Click, 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 click. All right, onto the right side. Click. Okay, just want to double check, make sure we're still leveled here, which we are. Excellent. We'll just go through one more time just to be safe. Okay, we're all set. They're all torqued. The scope install is finished. The level is set. It matches the front level. Everything is torqued down. Scope's leveled. Let's go ahead and install the sunshade just to see what this would look like. There we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the rifle scope installation on a Remington 700. And this is the Vortex 6 to 24X by 50. There you have it. On the next video, it's gonna be a short one. We're gonna install this muzzle brake, and once the muzzle brake is installed, then we're also gonna pop the 10-round mag in and do an overview of the whole rifle after it's finalized. So that should complete everything for this rifle. And then a video after that, we should be taking it out for some range time. Exciting. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.